Well, it's now been a year since the re-implementation of this festival, the Four Winds, the return to the Labyrinthine Cliffs and the Crown Pavilion on a regular basis. This was a fantastic update of last year that I think most people kind of forget about because we kind of think of the valuable updates for the game as only being Living World updates. But there was a huge amount here, if you guys remember. The new races, the new sailable boat that was going around, the re-implementation of some of the activities, a huge number of vendors and economy sinks. They added the divine sovereign weapons and stuff, and well, now it's back. So we get to see what has changed for 2019, and as always, the devs do a bit of an update for a festival every time it rolls back through, whether that means content stuff like last year, Reaper's Rumble coming back to Halloween, or item stuff. Now, items is kind of the main thing that they'll go with. They'll add new vendors, totally new rewards. Decorations tend to get an update each time. Black Lion obviously gets its updates. So there are some things to run through. This is quite a complicated festival as well, and since it's its first return, the devs seem to have done a few things about the races. They filtered some new adventures throughout. One big meaningful difference this year compared to last was the inclusion of the sky scale, of course. So let's remember, when this came around way back in 2013 for Living World Season 1 and so on, a lot of it was about collecting crystals and using them to jump to interesting areas. Then when it returned during the Path of Fire days, we had like the Springer and stuff. So who cares about this crystal when you have a Springer that essentially does the same thing, just even better, right? And not tied to a currency or something. So the devs reworked it. They changed some of the achievements around and stuff, if you remember. It actually took a lot of stuff to hammer it and bring it into the Path of 5 days. Well, now I think that's further changed again because of the sky scale, which is, you know, the most broken movement-oriented mount they've ever done. So I'm wondering, as we go through the notes here, whether the devs have actually looked at this at all and changed things around, or we just have complete, crazy, unfettered freedom on the map now, like we've never seen before. You got to remember as well, the Zephyrite too were very Aurene oriented and very Glint oriented, and that story's kind of, dare I say, come to a close. I mean, they could continue expanding on it, but it's entered a new chapter, let's say that at least, and I wonder whether the Zephyrite will be mentioning. So on this video, I want to run through what the devs have told us about the release, and indeed there is quite a lot, and then as the festival goes forward, we'll try to stay in the loop for all these other things too. Man, that would be cool if that had collision, but I guess it doesn't. Alright, so let's run on through the notes and see what they've got. Starting way up at the top here, they have a simple description of the festival and say, on behalf of Queen Jenna of Kryta and the Captain's Council, you are cordially invited to participate in the return of the Festival of the Four Winds. High atop the Labyrinthine Cliffs, our Zephyrite friends have been working in tandem with Lion's Arch to host an incredible variety of fun, vendors, and events to entertain visitors from all across Syria. So the as an economy balance is a big part of this event, or classically was. The idea that there are a ton of vendors that you can trade things on. That should mean that Ectos rise in price again during this festival as they did last time. I've personally been holding on to some. But also you have to remember, as you'll see in just a second, a new feature's coming to the game. That's legendary runes and sigils with this release. And so that's going to be some big economy shake-ups there too. This celebration of unity and peace between our cultures is more important than ever before, and we hope that you will join us in the festivities. In the spirit of cooperation, Queen Jenna has personally overseen the reopening of the Crown Pavilion, featuring a variety of challenges for Tyria's finest to test their mettle. Transportation couldn't be simpler. You got the hot air balloons and so on. So they've given a feature list here. I did this last year when it returned, so you guys can pause the video if you'd like to see. But a quick reminder, you have the races, there's the meta event that was added and you will probably regularly want to do. Sanctum Sprint is available, you've got the Aspect Arena, and the supply boxes with all their new loot and whatnot. This is one of your opportunities to get infusions and stuff. And actually, interesting thing happened with Dragon Bash recently, where the Dragon coffers were dropping certain Heart of Thorns exotics and massively devalued them because they were just so commonly coming out of the Dragon coffers. What that means is the Zephyrite boxes this year feel somewhat nerfed a little bit because you can get a super rare roll and now get a skin that isn't worth very much. Bit of a shame, really, but the infusions are still there. Then they describe the Crown Pavilion with the Boss Blitz and the Queen's Gauntlet up top. Obviously, if you've already got a lot of those achievements, you'll still have reason to go back this year, but there will be a little bit less to do. Then finally, they have this awesome section here of new stuff. So this is what we're interested in. New updates and prizes for this year include, number one, annual achievements have been added to the Festival of the Four Winds. You got to complete the annual Four Winds Customs meta to earn a splendid new backpack. So if we go in game here, and I open up my achievements. The festival section has arrived. There's 4 sections. There's the Festival of the Four Winds General, which I mostly have things done. I've still got to do the Rise and Fall of Kukachu. Maybe I'll finally get that this year. The Crown Pavillion stuff, which I've got finished. The Queen's Gauntlet stuff, which I've got finished. But then there's this new one, the Four Winds Customs. And this has really just become a thing. So you'll see up here, when we click this, it's going to ask you to complete a ton of the annual stuff, go and participate in a huge amount of the festival, sample all the stuff, basically, which is 18 achievements. This is a really big one, because it's kind of 2 festivals mashed together, really. And as a result, there is a new exotic backpack that you can get out. And if we have a look here, this is what it looks like. I'm not actually that impressed with its appearance, but maybe you guys have a character that you think it will fit on quite well. It's kind of this Zephyrite avian creature that we get to have on our back, built out of the Zephyrite style. So yeah, that's new to the game, and that's a reward you get for basically going through, completing all of your different things here, and sampling the festival. So yeah, that's basically one of the big incentives to come back if you have absolutely everything done already. You get to go through the annual stuff, and of course all the crazy amounts of AP you'll get too. Dragon Bash had a lot of that also. Then they say this, that the Flying Doliac race, the Skimmer Slalom race, and the Pavillion Pursuit race. So these two, the Flying Doliac is the one that takes you from the bottom and you climb up to the very top. The Skimmer Slalom was the one where obviously you get on a skimmer and you go out on the waters. It's actually my favorite race of the festival, this one where you're going around here, you're weaving through the islands. Feels really good, really summery. And then the last one is not in this map at all, it's in the other map over at the Crown Pavillion. Well, these races have now all been overhauled, as they say, with associated adventures added to them. So even when the events are on cooldown now, you can do adventures, and they have more responsive checkpoints. So yeah, this is the checkpoint bug that had plagued POF for ages. I wonder if it's still on the POF events themselves, where if too many people do one of these races, the checkpoint wouldn't go green. So you'd just be awkwardly flying backwards and forwards through it, hoping that you were lucky enough to get it to go green and then you could rush on. Really silly. So they've resolved that, thank God. Also, race for the fastest time and earn bonus daily rewards. I'm guessing that means with the adventures. You know, I really couldn't remember that they didn't have adventure time trial versions of them last year. I guess they didn't, but now here they are. That means there's quite a few with this festival too. Next, they've gone over to the Boss Blitz, and they say that bosses in the Boss Blitz group event have been rebalanced. So this is the event that you can proc, and you can get a big Zerg, and in theory could be a good farm. I did it a lot last year. I was actually playing Deadeye a ton. It's no coincidence that I'm on a Deadeye for this video here, because I have a lot of nostalgic memories from last year playing a rifle Deadeye, trying to out-damage everyone in the Zerg. But they've rebalanced them. Their maximum health amounts have been reduced. So overall, what that's going to mean is the thing finishes quicker, is more farmable, you're more capable of splitting and getting the highest tier rewards, and might mean that you get these cool maps that are just rolling with them a lot in LFG, since it was a bit hard last year. So they're easier to kill, and they now have unique Defiance bars that, when broken, give boons to players fighting the other bosses. So your incentive to CC these bosses now is not just that you'll crowd control them and you'll put that magic, vulnerable damage modifier, but you'll actually help everyone else in the other areas of the map fighting the other bosses because you broke the break bar of your one. So I really like this idea. Maybe this is a lot more farmable this year. The stuff's dying quicker, and if you've got nice coordinated people that are blowing break bars up, you're constantly getting insane buffs, and maybe you can do lots of damage to them. Really keen to get in there and see how that looks. Right now, I'm a little bit more preoccupied with the Labyrinthine Cliffs, though. They say that there's another 5 weapons that were added to the Zephyrite weapon set, and 11 new weapons for Divine Sovereign. So Divine Sovereign was the set from last year. I believe I have the rifles, so I can show it to you guys. It was a new set that they'd added very golden, very shiny, basically, versions of the existing stuff. So if we type here, Divine... I guess I never picked up the rifle, but there were only like 5 of them, and they were very, very time-gated. It was kind of, do you want to spend a ton of your tokens and rewards on the Divine Sovereign stuff, or do you want to spend it on the grand backpack, lightning catches, and so on? I was going for the Divine things. They've added 11 new ones this year. If you guys remember, with Dragon Bash, they added event AP stuff for like 10 years of Guild Wars 2. Like, to get all the AP out of it, you'd have to do the festival 10 times in a row or something crazy. And I guess by adding 11 of these, that's going to have people filled, and with reasons. People who really go for everything in this game, they'll have reasons to do this event, for this festival, for a long, long, long time. New Guildhall decorations based on the Zephyrite style can now be crafted. So I've actually already made these before making the video. I'll throw the footage up for you guys to look at now. They're okay. I'm getting a little bit desensitized now to enormous decorations getting added to the game. As you guys know, most patches, really big decorations are becoming available. And there is a fairly expensive but very badass boat that you can get now, as you can see here. There's also a smaller one. I was really curious if these would actually move. With Dragon Bash, you had the giant Kralkatorrik decoration, so I was wondering if the devs would do something insane and amazing for this festival as well. It looks like they haven't, though, hey, who knows, maybe there's like a hidden discovery recipe out there or something. But the Kralkatorrik one obviously moved around a lot, and I really liked the idea of maybe some of these boats might move. That would be cool, wouldn't it? I mean, they definitely have that in the festival itself. I guess it's too complicated for the devs to dynamically do it. Kralkatorrik itself is holographic, and you can fly through, it has no collision, so I'm sure that that's not really a problem for them. There's also like a little jug of water you can get, and like a fish statue. Basically assets that you'll recognize from the festival. And now these have expanded on the ones that we had last year. That will keep going. You should be able to do some cool stuff. I particularly like the idea of building loads and loads of fish and then making like an archway of them or something. Could be fun. And there you go. That's the whole lot. So you guys can see those on screen there. Next, they say markers have been added to mount rental vendors to make them easier to find. Yeah, well, this is pretty basic. But if I press M and look at the map, you'll see here there's a jackal rental here. There's a griffin rental here. There's a raptor one. There'll be a skimmer one here. There is no roller beetle, sky scale, or warclaw, but perhaps for obvious reasons, and the map doesn't necessarily need those. That's not the only rental change, by the way. So renting is for free-to-play people, or those of us who haven't just unlocked these mounts by the standard means. They now have whistles. These are now included with your mount rental, and they make it easier to re-summon them after dismounting. So previously, if you rented a mount, you'd spend a certain amount of money, and if you ended up getting off it for any reason, maybe you accidentally dipped in water for a second, it was a terrestrial mount, that was it. It was over. Maybe you took full damage or whatever and it died, and that was kind of a pain, really. But now you get a whistle, which means that after the one rental you can bring it back fairly regularly. I'm assuming this will be a skill on the skill, but I haven't actually verified. But these are very nice for the free-to-play players, and a good taste of mounts, a good advertisement for Path of Fire as well, frankly. A new weekly vendor has been added, trading limited supplies of rare goods for festival tokens. So I've looked and looked and looked, guys, and I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the new vendor is this guy here with the specific icon above their head. Oh, no, not this guy. This guy. Which is festival tokens, 500 of, quite a lot, by the way. But you'll notice that you can pick up 50 blood rubies, 50 wood, 50 winter berries, jade shards. So this is... In Dragon Bash, we had a version of this for the most recent Living World season, Season 4. This looks like a version for Season 3. So you can, every week, pick up 50 of all the currencies for the Season 3 maps. Nice idea, actually. I might be wrong, and this guy was here last year, and it was just sort of a standard thing. But I don't think I am, and I can't find any of the other vendors, so it seems like the same format. People were really over the moon about this for the Dragon Bash variant, because Vision had just come out. Everybody was really hard up for all these materials. I think this one will get less fanfare, but it's the exact same system and implementation. And for any new player, and for everyone coming into Guild Wars 2 over all the years in the future, this is still just as much of a positive thing as the other one was. Maybe you're still going for Aurora or whatever. And so, yeah, I guess if you liked it last time, then you can like it this one. I personally think it invalidates those maps to a certain degree, but it's important that festivals feel like they're really good opportunities to get tons of stuff, I think. And so this kind of falls in line with that. Also, now we kind of have this festival, it feels like a Season 3 linked festival. Dragon Bash feels like a Season 4 linked festival. Does that mean that one day we might get a Season 5-y feeling festival? I mean, frankly, this one feels very Season 1 linked too, because a lot of these vendors are associated with those. But, hey, maybe we don't have to go all the way through that. Almost there. They also say that numerous bugs and glitches have been fixed to ensure a safer and more pleasant festival for all the participants. Not exactly sure what they're talking about there. They talk about the kite baskets being scattered around Tyria, a little advertisement for some more of the rewards in the dailies. There are some other areas of the patch, so let's roll through these. I will whiz through, though, because it doesn't actually look that substantial. Starting with a bit of world polish, they fixed a bug that could prevent the Choya Pinata from dropping choice chests. This is related to the Path of Fire reward meta event overhaul recently. They've got the thing for the legendary runes and sigils, which maybe I'll have to do a dedicated production on. Grandmaster Craftsman's Hobbs in Lion's Arch has some new information about unlocking them. And in fact, when we log in, if you guys have a look up at my mail here, you'll see we get a whole mail from him. Hobbs says, attention, new and exciting recipes have been developed. Speak to me in Lion's Arch to learn more. I'm very curious if this mail is one of those mails that will spam all new characters for the ends of time now. I think that would be a real shame. But yeah, we would go over to him and he would teach us about these new things. Don't forget that's tied to the whole Mystic Forge thing. They also say Grandmaster Crafters and Lion's Arch are working to unlock legendary runes for citizens who donate repeatedly to the cause. What I would also point out is another post went out on the official website saying certain crafting recipes have just been disabled. Any recipe that required another weapon to churn a new thing out has been disabled as of this patch. I'm guessing there was some kind of exploit or some loophole related to the new legendary rune and sigil crafting. Hopefully the devs fix that pretty soon. I was actually hoping to get a bunch of guild weapon stuff and craft it into Shimmering and Tenebrous soon, but it looks like that's off the table since those things are probably disabled. Looking at balance, I was really hoping that there would be a meaningful balance change for Mesmer down here, because the devs said that there would be a change to Chaotic Interruption Chaos Grandmaster trait, which is kind of everywhere on Mesmers at the moment and really bags the game down, makes it quite unfun. And they said that it just missed the last balance patch, so I was hoping it would be here. Looks like it's not. It's mostly housekeeping. So bolstered elements, this has been bugged for a while. So this is the Weaver trait that means when you activate a stance, you get stability. And also, it's one of those double traits that has a secondary effect. That is, when you go below half health, you, for free, activate Lesser Stone Resonance, which gives you a ton of barrier, okay? So, it was 2 traits in one. Now, what was happening was if the 50% health trait triggered, it would ruin the stability from all other stances, the second half of the trait. Just spaghetti code. It had been broken for ages as well, frankly, and now finally it's fixed, so maybe I'll go back to this now. Next, over on Engineer, Spectrum Shield fixed a bug that prevented it from properly listing its damage reduction amount. Laser's Edge, they've increased the maximum damage from 15 to 25% in PvE only. Now remember, this underwent a change last patch to be the kind of dynamic scaler. So that feels like a buff to me, but maybe that's because last patch the dynamic scaler kind of messed with Hollow a little bit. Not entirely sure. Glass Cannon, they've just straight up buffed, increased the damage bonus from 5 to 7%. That's in all game modes. Glass Cannon's kind of a weird trait because it competes with just a raw power bonus in the same line against it for explosives. So even at 7%, it feels a bit weird, but there you have it. Over on Guardian, we're going to see the first of something that appears again and again and again. So Wall of Reflect, Purging Flames, Portal, and Time Warp, and Plague Lands, and Scourge Shades. They are all skills that now use different effects depending on whether the caster is an enemy or an ally. So I might be wrong about this, but this is actually a brilliant update, and it's essentially saying that there are going to be different animations, visual tells, based on, you know, whether that's an allied Wall of Reflect or an enemy one. So are we going to see, like, red Walls of Reflect to demonstrate that those are enemy Walls of Reflection? Obviously, there's already the little red ring will appear around enemy Plague Lands, or a white ring around an allied one. But there's a lot of animations that will all look very different, and some of them are super common, too. Like Scourge Shades, they're everywhere. So I wonder what an allied Scourge Shade will look like now, or vice versa. Lots of new animations. I could probably put in my new skill video soon. So, yeah, that's what a lot of the changes are, and the only other one that's on here that isn't that is this here, Mantra of Distraction. And here I got excited because I was thinking about Chaotic Interruption. Well, fixed a bug that prevented this skill from reducing the recharge time of Time Sync. So Time Sync is one of the new Chronomancer skills from last patch. I still plan to do a showcase on, by the way. It just depends when I can get to boots. And so that will have been something that was broken. It's interesting to me that they have to manually assign every single interaction like this. You'd think it would be coded in such a way that's dynamic, but it doesn't feel like it there, right? Does it? Lastly, they've got a selection here for Black Lion stuff. There is a new 2,000 gem mount skin. It's a new raptor. It looks like a weird kind of dog creature. There's a new outfit. There's new Black Lion chest stuff. There's a new glider, I think it was, or maybe it's a chair. obviously they've done what they can to monetize the festival, and you can feel free to pause and check that out if you like. So there you go, guys. That's it. That's the Festival of the Four Winds, the Crown Pavilion having returned. Just a quick little update video for you guys to keep you in the loop as to what's going on with Guild Wars. Like I said, there's actually a couple of things I still really want to make for you guys and talk to you guys about, especially to do with this upcoming announcement and stuff, so do keep an eye out. And thanks very much for watching. I'll see you shortly. Have a great evening, guys.